about you. This is what I believe you should be implementing as a process. Here's how we're going to go about getting that done, what we need to put into play, a little bit about me and my history of what we're all about, so you don't think I'm an absolute stranger. And so at the end of the day, what I really want to know is, what do you think about my idea? Right? That's essentially what I did to this company. And so when I approached them, I sent an email, said, hey, look, and I had to probably send about 6 emails to the CEO of the company before the CEO responded to me, right? I literally like, hey, did you get it? Did you see it? Need to talk to you. Here's what this is about. It was very, very simple, right? Well, I didn't go into great detail. But then the CEO decided to call me and I said, look, this is what I've done. We have to meet. If you want me to deliver this, we have to meet. Right, so we arranged a meeting, and I literally just walked him through, right, this idea. I walked him through what I'd done, understood, subject. He sat there and said, "Oh my God, you must have been reading my mind, right? We've been thinking about all these things. Yes, I understand, because I understood by your messaging and what you did and where you're heading and what you're doing. I get it, right? So I understood where they were coming from, what they were looking to do, and I literally just followed their bouncing ball. I didn't make it up. It was their bouncing ball, right? So I walked through, and at the end of that, I said, great, what do you want to do with the plan, right? And he said, I want to implement it. Right, great, okay? And so I proceeded to charge him $150,000 to manage the plan, not implement the plan, right? To manage the project, not implement the project. Implementation was drawn by their team internal and the people need to drag in to make that work, but I charged them 150 grand. They had no problem paying 150 grand. It was a no-brainer for them because they looked at what the output or the value was. And this is why the very first thing I said, if you're going to go and charge for this thing, when you put money to this thing, that you can't cheap ass this deal, right? You select, you choose the price, don't choose the price based on what you think a customer or a client will pay. You choose the price, right? They don't choose the price, but make the price a price that you like, right? A price that you want, right? You're not pricing this out to be cheap or to be affordable or to, show awesome value, cheap price. You don't want to do that, right? What you're offering in this process is an absolute no-brainer deal. Right? Like when they look at this, they go, you know what? I would be a fool not to do this, right? Now, I'm going to put a caveat on this because I'm literally going to walk you through the exact process, the structure, the whole thing. I'm going to share the whole thing with you, okay? Your credit cards are safe. You can't buy anything here. There's nothing for you to buy, right? I promise you that your credit card. So if you've got your credit card out to buy something, just put the credit card away. Okay, that'd be cool. However, I am going to ask you to do something at the end of this, and I want to make sure that you get as much value out of this as possible. Okay, in this process. So this whole concept, some of you go, "Oh, this is not new, right?" And it isn't. It's not a new idea. It's just leading with incredible value and opening the door to the possibility of collaboration and partnership. That's all you're doing. Right, in this part, you're acquiring a customer, and what you're doing is you're leading with value. What most people do is they offer things like free strategy sessions and blah blah. You're going to do something just a little bit different in this process. Okay, now a couple of things. If the person buys, that's awesome, right? And you can get referrals from the person who buys, right? If the person says, "I like this idea, fantastic," timing's not right. You're going to ask them, "Look, did you get value out of what we saw here? Was this something that you got value out?" They said, and they'll always go, "Wow, this is amazing. You thought, you were kind of thinking out of my brain and blah, blah. It's incredible." So are there people in your supply chain, businesses that you serve, that you believe that you could gift this to, right? What would you have paid for this? Most people, when I show them this, I would say, I'd pay you $5 grand for this or 10 grand. Would you gift $5,000 or $10,000 to what you believe an ideal prospect would be for this idea, right? Would you gift them, right? And they will say, absolutely, right? Because they're going to feel like they've gotten a huge amount of value out of this interaction with you. They're going to feel pretty awful if it just ends there, right? But if you sat there and said, listen, did you get value out of this? If you had to pay for this, what would you pay for this? And most people will blurt out 5 grand, 10 grand, right? They'll just blurt out money, right? Would you give a $5,000 or $10,000 gift to somebody in your supply chain or a client that you believe would benefit from actually going through this current process that you went through? Every single person you do this to is going to be looking for the ideal client for you. They're not going to go and refer a cheap shit business. They're going to refer somebody who they respect, somebody who they like, somebody who believes would get true value out of this idea, right? So the referral you're going to get is going to be a really good referral, right? So the whole deal with this, like I've got somebody right now, I've got one of the people I'm coaching who's just doing this and nothing else as their client acquisition. And they've already got 3 clients in the last 2 weeks. 3 clients in the last 2 weeks just doing this, right? And they're going, screw cold email, let's just do this, right? So this only works if you apply it. Now, I say that because I know that 90% of the people who see this, right, who go through this in what I'm going to share with you, just don't do this. I don't understand why you wouldn't do this. It beguiles me as to why people wouldn't take action on this idea, because it prints money. It's been printing money for me. Right now, we put this strategy into play. We use this strategy for our own agency. This is how we get multiple six-figure clients right now, right? This is how we get 100, 200, 300,000, $400,000 clients. This is what we're doing, what I'm doing in our agency, right? So it works. I know it works because we're collecting cash, right? So the thing is, the question I don't know why, whether it's a like I'm not sure or I'm not sure what I'm doing. If you follow this path, if you follow the structure I've given you, you could screw this up completely. I am going to show you how to fuck this up, right? I'm going to show you how to screw this up and still make money, right? Still make money doing this, right? So because it's not a very difficult concept to follow, right? It will only work if you apply it. And so, like I said, there's 2 things that are going to come out of this. You're going to get a paying customer at a premium price that you would like to choose, or you're going to get a really good quality referral of somebody who will actually value and sit down and go through this process. And you'll be able to replicate this idea over and over and over again, right? The biggest deal that I closed on this was a $1.8 million deal. I closed a $1.8 million deal for a client doing this, what I'm about to walk you through, right? So you can go and close a small client, a medium client, big client. You can do this anywhere. It doesn't matter what service you provide, right? Doesn't matter what you're delivering to the market. It works if you apply the process. It's really simple. So just so I know that you're with me, right? Just type 1 in the chat if you're alive. If I don't see a 1, we're going to kick you out, right? If you put a 1 in the chat, that'll be cool. If I don't see a 1, it means that you're not here, you're not listening, or you're sitting in the background somewhere passively. We will move you out of this session. There's no point in you being here if we're not playing the game, right? So I just want to know, the only reason I'm asking is because I just want to know that you're alive, right? That you're okay and that you're kind of listening in, okay? All right. If you want to turn your camera on, that'd be really cool. It'd be nice to see your face. Otherwise, I'm looking at a whole bunch of brown tiles here. Please make sure that you are clothed, wearing clothes, so we're not going to embarrass ourselves. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk you through. I'm just going to share my screen here for a second. Where's this going to go? So I'm going to walk you through a process, right? Then I'm going to show you the actual strategy of how it's applied, right? Then I'm going to show you the demonstration of the output, and then I'll share you the tools, right? I'll share how you do this. Like I said, the very first time I did this took me about 20 hours to put this together, but I've pretty much got it down to about under 10 minutes, right? Literally under 10 minutes, okay? So let me share my screen so we can go through the process. Just give me a thumbs up if you can see Dynamic Engagement Method. There's a really cool copywritten title for you. All right, so let's go. You want to lead with value, right? There's a famous book written by a guy called Stephen Covey. He wrote the book, I think, about 30 years ago. It's still a bestseller. I think it's been revised. There's a whole training company around it. Seek to understand first, then seek to be understood. This guy he wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is chapter 4. You don't need to buy the book. I'm just giving it to you right now. So chapter 4 is seek to understand first, and then seek to be understood, right? The more you understand, the more you have insight, right? The more valuable you are in being able to deliver to somebody that you want to share with, right? So the more you understand, you want to seek to understand first, and then you want to seek to be understood, right? Without a plan, you're kind of just a tourist walking around aimlessly wasting time, experiencing nothing, right? The key here is most businesses do not plan for anything. The majority of businesses just don't have plans. And if they do have a plan, the plan is not tied to execution or KPIs. Some people put a plan into place because they've got to put a plan into place saying, tick box, I've got a plan, but the execution and implementation is not there. Most people do not plan for anything, right? But if you lead with a plan, lead with an idea, you're going to basically stand out of the crowd, okay? Number 3, purpose is to help and give as much value as possible. This is your purpose as a business owner, right? As a business owner running your own company, your number one purpose in life is to help and give as much value as possible, right? That is your purpose, right? It is the goal to profit as much as possible from the value that you deliver, right? Purpose, help, deliver outstanding value. Goal, profit as much as you can from the value you deliver. That is the game that you're playing in business, right? So you've got to know the market, right? You've got to know the market first, right? So I always ask for, and I'm going to show you this in a second, but I always look for what are the current trends within the markets that I'm looking to work with, right? We work in the SaaS market, so I've done my homework on what are the current industry trends 2025 to 2030 for software as a service companies, especially B2B companies, right? And so I would literally dump this question into Perplexity, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever language model you want to use, Grok, Meta. I would just dump this in, right? Your industry, your niche, what's going on, right? What is the TAM of the market, the total available market, right? What is the value of that market? Who are the players? Who are the players at the top, the middle, and the bottom, right? What does it look like? So you can very quickly understand what's going on within the market by just asking this question, right? So I want to figure out what's going on, right? Number 2, what are the top 10 mistakes that businesses make when it comes to acquiring clients or the consequences? If you are in the marketing services business, what your impact generally is in acquisition, how they either acquire, manage, convert, right, customers. How do they acquire them? How do they manage them? How do they convert them? These are the areas you focus on. So what are the mistakes, your industry, what are the top 10 issues around a market that they have when it comes to acquiring or managing clients? Right? What are the top 10 mistakes that companies make in social media management? What are the top 10 mistakes that this type of business incurs when it mismanages leads? What are the top 10? So you're looking for what are the issues that are common to the market. That's a question you want to know. You want to know what the mistakes are. But the most important part of this sentence is the consequences. What happens when they make these mistakes, right? So these are the mistakes that the market makes, but what happens with a business? And what I would add one more question to this. I would ask, give me a case study example of how the impact of this mistake works, right? Give me an example based on the industry or a benchmark, right? So now I know what's going on in the market. I know what are the mistakes that the market is making, right? So how does the business niche, your business niche that you've chosen, benefit from the core offer and what outcomes can be achieved by implementing your service? So one thing that I would do here is I would say, these are my top 5 benefits of what we do, right? How do I lace those benefits on top of a business? So for example, I'll pick chiropractors. Let's say I do missed call text back or speed to lead as a strategy, AI, right? Speed to lead. So I'm going to say, here are the top 5 benefits of speed to lead if a chiropractor were to implement it, and what would the impact be for that chiropractor if they were to put this in place? Let's say they were getting about 100 leads a week, 400 leads a month. Their current conversion rate is say 10% to appointment. What would happen if they were to implement this idea, right? Then what's that's going to do, it's going to give you a scenario of the benefits of implementing your idea, your strategy, your offer. You might be offering sales training. You might be offering business development strategy. You might be offering AI chatbots. So all you got to do is replace what you do, benefit of your core service, right, in relation to the businesses that you serve, right? That's what you're going to do, okay? So very quickly, we're going to do this now. I'm going to show you what this looks like in a moment. Okay. So then how does your service solve the consequences of the mistakes and the problems that they have in acquiring customers? So going back to the second question, what are the mistakes? How do you solve those mistakes with your service, right? How do you solve those problems, right? In terms of what you're doing. Okay. So next, authority lead, I'm going to call it a lead magnet, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create, based on our findings, we're going to create a report on our findings, right? We can either do this in text document, copy paste, right? Or we can create a presentation. Then we can create a presentation of my findings, right? What I could do is I could probably record a video going through the presentation. It creates an asset, right, of this presentation. Now I would be layering this for one business. I can do this generically, but what I'm trying to do is engage a company that I want to work with. I'm going to show you how I did this in a moment, right? I want to break it up into small consumable chunks, reach out and ask if they'd like to gain access to that information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record it once, and it might be big, and I'll go, great, let's break this down into 4 or 5 pieces, make it smaller, make it consumable, throw it up on a page, right? You can either throw it up a page or you can put it in a private YouTube channel, wherever you want to put it. You don't have to go crazy here. This is very basic, right? Throw it up on a page, and then I would say, hey, I built this for you. Would you like access? Now, don't send them the link, right? You're not going to go, hey, I built this and here's a link. Say, look, this is what I did, and you chunk it down. I put all this together for you, right? Do you want access to it? Do you want to get your hands on it? Just give me a yes or no, right? If they say yes, then you're starting a conversation, right? Okay. So you want to make it exclusive to one, right? You can do this as a broad, like this is generally how we help a market or a niche. This becomes a really good piece of content that you have, right? This creates signature pieces of content very, very quickly, right? But I said I want to generate a client, a high value client. I want to personalize this to the client, right? So I'm going to show you how I've done this, okay? So the action to client opportunity, right? I want to build a list of 30 people. I don't want to go and build hundreds of leads and blah, blah. I just need about 30, right? Where am I going to find these people? I'm looking for industry association leaders, CEOs, presidents of companies, right? Leaders, decision makers is who I'm targeting, right? If I want to know a little bit more, I might target consultants within the market. I might target business advisors who are really good, who are recognized in a market. I'm looking for the top 10 companies, right? This is who I would be targeting, right? This is what I'd be doing, okay? I'd look for the top 10 medium-sized companies, right? In terms of who I was targeting. So these are the types of things that I'd be looking for. I'm not looking for a random. I'm looking for somebody who's good, right? I'm looking for people who easy to find, and who are recognizable as they do a great job in the market, right? So my action, I'm just going to walk you through the action steps, right? We're going to reach out and ask if they want to get their hands on the report or the idea or the information. I'm going to set up a time for feedback, right? Their questions. I'm going to offer a business action plan to solve the problem with my service. I'm going to walk them through the plan, ask what they liked about it, ask why it was important to them, ask what would happen if they put this into place. What would the worst case scenario be, best case scenario be, and what would they be open to working with me to implement the solution, right? If you follow this path, this is how it works, right? Okay, and then we're going to let them buy. So this is how we close the deal. I'm going to show you, right? We're going to say, what do they like most about the idea that we've shared, right? What did you like most about it, right? Then we're going to ask them, well, why was that important to them? Tell me why that was specifically important to you, right? Then we'll say, what do they believe would be the outcome if they were to implement the idea? What would they believe the ultimate outcome would be if they were to implement, right? I'm asking for worst case scenario, best case scenario, right? Then I'm going to ask them, are you open to working with me and my team to implement the plan, your plan, right? And then I'm going to say, would you like me to make this an absolute no-brainer for you? Not a single person that you do this to will ever say, no, do not make it a no-brainer for me, right? They're going to go, yeah, hell yeah, let's do a no-brainer deal, right? Now, your no-brainer deal is not cheap, right? It's not a cheap deal. It's a value deal based on the outcome, right? Based on the outcome. You're letting them buy, right? Last question, what do you think we should do next? Right? If you get, I need to think about this, you can go back to the plan and go back to what you just talked about. Well, let's be very clear about what you need to think about to make sure we're on the right track. Are you okay with that? They're going to go, yeah, let's go through it. And you're going to ask questions. Are you okay with this? You okay with this? You got it? They go, yep, 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 yep. And they'll literally reconfirm why they want to do this in the process, right? Or they're going to go, you know what? How do we get this going? How do we get this going? That's the response that you're working towards in this process, right? In this process, okay? So let me just escape out of that for a second, and I'm just going to stop sharing, all right? Any questions up until this point? Can't read the... Any questions up until this point?
Yes, John, a quick question.
Yeah.
At the point when you said do not send the link,
yep.
You're going to ask them if they're interested to share. Could you, that part is crucial.
Do you want to get a hold of it? Do you want, are you open to getting this? This is a valuable piece of information. I'm not just handing out a link. I won't send links. I want to ask their input to say, okay, yeah, I like the idea of this. Great. Then I will provide you with the rules of how you're going to get access to it, right? But what most people do is I'll just go, hey, here's the link, and they just send it. And they don't even know if the person's opened the information, looked at the information. Total waste of time. Do not send stuff to people they didn't ask for. I would rather send something that they have been engaged in and say, yeah, I would like to get my hands on it. Okay, great. And then you can set the rules of what happens next. But don't ever just go, hey, I did this for you, and here's the link, right? Because think about it. I get 300 emails a day. I don't look at 300 emails a day. In fact, I probably see maybe 2 or 3 of them a day. So there's 297 emails I never read, I never open, I don't even look at, right? And the reason why is because most of it is things, subscriptions, people trying to sell me stuff, people trying to reach out, right? Most of the emails I'm getting are not really that urgent or important to me. So if somebody really wanted to help me out, I would probably miss them in the email, right? So that's why I would point them to, and you're going to see my example of this in a moment. That's why I would point them to and say, look, not for, I've done this. I need you to jump a hoop, right? Is it okay? Would you like this? Are you open to this? Yeah or no? No, move on, right? Yes, I want to do this. Then I would create the rules, right, on the interaction with the material, right? Now I could say, hey, look, let me give you the first piece. What did you think about the first piece? Let me give you the second piece. I could gate it, right? Or I could say, hey, I've got the report here, but I've also created a video. Which would you prefer, the report or the video or both, right? Because I want my hands on both. Great, right? The caveat is that I'm going to be speaking to you. I'm going to give you a moment to go through this, right? But ideally, I'd love to take you through it, right? Ideally, I would love to take you through the process. Right. So I would really go through. I don't want to send a link. I want to say, hey, let's talk about this. That's what I'm ultimately aiming for. If I can't do that and I can't get them into that game, then it's like, okay, here's the next step in the piece in the pie, right? So all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get them to go, hey, we should talk, right? When I show you what I did on the execution of this, it took me 6 messages for the guy to pick up the phone and call me. It took me sending him 6 messages. I sent him a text message. I sent him a couple of emails. I left a voicemail for him. It took about 6 attempts within a couple of days for him to call me back and say, okay, I want to talk to you, right? So because at the end of the day, remember, this was an $80,000 deal. This was not, $5,000 a month, $2,000 a month, it wasn't like that. It was 80,000 cash, right? So I was serious, and I was literally trying to remind him that, hey, this is serious. I'm not messing around. Here's my idea, right? So that's all we're doing here. So be very not careful. Remember that you are the one who is positioning yourself as the expert, right? If you appear, like I get emails in my inbox all day saying, John, I can send you 1,000 customers in the next 20 minutes. no charge, blah, blah. I get shit like that all the time. And my thing is like, well, that's just a standard email that you're writing to 50 other, 100 other, 1,000 other people. There's nothing in that intent, right? I don't want to come off as that person in this process. So I'm not just going to willy-nilly just go, here, have this, or here's a link, or watch this video, knowing that they have no commitment on their part. So you want to think this through a little bit, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to build rapport and a relationship fairly quickly, right? So this is not like, hey, I'm going to send you this. I see, why aren't you looking at my thing? No, this is not a cap in hand thing, right? Your approach is that you really thought about this person, you thought about their business, and you thought about the value that you can deliver. So this is why this is far more personal, right? And it's a very professional approach, because you're approaching them with an idea, right, that they haven't actually thought about, or if they've been thinking about it, right, you're catching them in thought, and this is a reality of execution. That's what you're doing with this idea. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure everybody's muted. So you're going through the presentation with them. Yes, I am. Makes total sense, as you would only be connecting with people who are showing interest. Absolutely, Mohammed. I'm not wasting my time with people who show no interest. By the way, my conversion rate to appointment on this is 100%. Right? My conversion rate to appointment on this strategy is 100%. Can anybody guess why? It's so personal. I'm speaking to them, right? The whole thing is like, we should talk, right? This is for you. This is about you. This is an idea. Are you open to this? People will go, yes, right? Not every email that I send, I'm saying I got 100% when I target a company to getting the appointment, 100% conversion to an appointment opportunity. Right. So when I'm reaching out and communicating and trying to get them to converse with me, it's 100%. Like if I've targeted that company, I will speak to that CEO or that decision maker. I have no problem in getting that person to agree to at least having that or the beginning of that conversation. It is a 100% conversion rate to an appointment. Right. I've got probably a 15 to 20% conversion rate on the first email. Right, 15 to 20% conversion rate on the very first, meaning, but they don't know me, right? They have no idea who I am. Reaching out with my first email, I've had a 15 to 20% conversion rate into an appointment opportunity, right? Conversion to the sale right now, for me, 80%. 80% to a sale conversion, right? On average, if you're doing this, it'll probably be about 30%. You should be able to close 1 in 3 people you do this to. Would be an average, would be an aggregate average, right? And as you do this, as you follow through with this, you're going to get better and better at doing this, right? This is not something that like, oh, I've just done this once and it didn't work. It's going to work. It's going to work if you follow through, right? You would be, because you'll see when I unpack this, how easy this is, right? You can literally personalize this for every single person in the marketplace. That's how crazy good this process is, okay? So I'm going to open up my version of this, right? So what I did was, actually, I'm going to open up, I'll do Perplexity. All right, so here's the thing. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if this works. So right now you should have a screen in front of you that says Perplexity Pro. Just give me a thumbs up, anybody. Perplexity Pro? Awesome, thank you. Right? So I love Perplexity. It's pretty cool. You can get the free version. You have to use the pro version. But in here, I'm just going to say something like, give me the current industry trends for 2025 to 2030 for the HVAC industry in the United States. Enter, right? So it's going to go on fine. It's going to literally give me a report on what's going on, right, in the market. Very quick. Look how fast this is, right? Key industry trends, energy efficiency, smart technology, electrification, sustainability, market dynamics, innovation, engineering. It even gives me a table, right, of what's going on, right? So it's giving me a very quick kind of understand. Now, if I want to get into the details, I can ask more questions and get into the details, right? And say, let's say, give me a report on the 5 ways that HVAC companies mismanage the acquisition of leads for their retail businesses in 2025. So it's going to give me a report on how HVAC businesses mismanage leads, neglecting target lead generation, poor response times to missed calls, inadequate lead tracking and data utilization, weak follow-up and nurturing processes, mismanagement of marketing spend. Like, these are the ways that the HVAC businesses actually mismanage leads, right? So I very quickly have figured out where the mistakes are, right? Now I'm going to say, I'm a marketing services specialist in sales automation, lead management, and sales optimization, offering a speed to lead missed call text back system to maximize appointment conversions for salespeople within the HVAC industry. How would my service solve the 5 challenges that the HVAC businesses have in mismanaging leads in the above report? So how would I solve the problem of what's going on, right? You know, automated lead routing, integration with the CRM platform, instant response, speed to lead missed call text back. So this is how what I would do would benefit a HVAC business, right? Okay. So all I'm doing is just literally asking Perplexity, on its thing. Now you'll notice in Perplexity, sometimes it gives you things like little numbers here, right? This is the reference of where it got the information from, right? This is where these little numbers are. This is the reference of where it got the information from, right? So what I've just done is I've figured out what's going on in 2023. I figured out what mistakes they're making with acquiring customers. And now I ask the question, if I'm running this type of business and this service, how does what I do solve the 5 problems that the market has, right? So that's basically how you very quickly you can put a report together, right? I know this is a problem. Here's the 5 problems. The question is, are you experiencing any one or more of these problems, right? Any one or more of these problems, okay? So getting the information, I could literally copy and paste this and I can shove this into a report, right? So for example, I could literally just take this, right? And I'll do it till there, just copy and paste. And then I can open up Gamma, right? Which is a presentation thing, software, dump it into here, right? Dump the report, generate from the notes or the outline, right? Continue to prompt. I'm going to say put it on 8 cards because there's about 5 or 6 things here. And I'm just going to go there and I just pick a random, I might use terracotta because that looks interesting. And I'm just going to hit generate, right? So that information I've done, the industry report, is now going to be transferred into this here, right? Market forecasts. It's going to create some sexy images, workflows, diagrams, right? Pretty simple. And it's going to create an 8-slide report. Now you can have 10, 15, 20 slides. You can break it down into, it doesn't matter. But in the space of like less than a minute, we now have a presentation on the report that we could either deliver, we could do a video on it and walk people through it. We can do, like, this is content, right? Okay. It looks pretty cool. It's even using relevant images for the HVAC industry, right? Just replace HVAC with whatever target market that you have, right? Whatever business that you've got, okay? Right? Now, if I go back to Perplexity here, right? I'm going to ask Perplexity, list the top 10 HVAC companies in Orange County, California, that are currently advertising to acquire leads. Target those specifically that have a significant Google and social media presence. This is how I'm going to find some leads, right? Next Gen Air, Air Blue HVAC, Moffat Plumbing, Alicia, Klondike Air, Cool Air Technologies, Pacific. These people are all spending money on ads right now, right? They're spending money on Google ads or social media ads to acquire leads. And it's given me the top 10. Are they running? Look at this. They're running Google ads. Yes, yes, yes. They're running Facebook ads, presence on Instagram and Facebook. So this is basically giving me 10 companies. Now, if I wanted to, I would say, give me the CEO or the owner or the founder of these companies, their names, and it will probably give me their names. But I literally found 10 companies that are the best, the top 10 companies right now that are acquiring customers in Orange County, California, a location, right? Now, if I wanted to, I would say, give me the industry trends 2025 to 2030 for the HVAC industry within Orange County, within that market, right? Not the national trend, the local trend, because these businesses are in the local market, right? So rather than saying, let me give you the whole picture, let me give the picture in your world, right? In your world. So I'm going to pick, I chose this, I've used this as an example because I already chose a company. The company that I chose was a company called Klondike Air. Where did I do it? Where are they? Klondike Air. This is the company here that I chose, right? The reason I chose this company is because they've been around for 20 years and they're a family-owned business. The person who runs this company is called Andrew Beaker, right? Now, how did I find Andrew Beaker? I basically Googled Klondike Air owner, founder, and found Andrew Beaker, right? Very easy, right? Then I went to Apollo and I found Andrew's personal email address. And I also got his cell phone number from apollo.ai. So I was able to find the lead. You don't have to, there's a free version. If you use Seamless, there's a free trial, Seamless AI. Seamless AI will give you a verified email and a phone number for the person you're looking for, right? Generally, it's pretty easy to get the leads, right? But I chose this company, Klondike Air, right, as a company. This is the company that I converted into an $80,000 sale, right? So it's very easy to find industry trends, very easy to see how a market makes mistakes with what you do, the problems that the market has with what you do, and it's very easy to show them how you solve that problem. I've literally just outlined that, and that took minutes. Like when we say minutes, if I just sat there, I would have taken me 2 or 3 minutes to get all that information, right? I even created a presentation right here, copying and pasting the information from the report into Gamma and immediately gave me a presentation on the report, right? This could be a PDF that you can create. You can do a video on this and walk through. You can break this up. You can actually just talk to or speak to one slide, and that's one video. So you can create several pieces of content out of this, right? All very fast, all very quick, right? So I'm going to move over to what I did, what the process I went through, right? And I'm going to behave like I'm naive and I don't know what I'm talking about, right? So you're going to see my prompting around the report that I created, right? So just want to make sure you can see my prompt. So basically, I just made a basic prompt, and rather than, what I did was I pasted the prompt that I wrote, which is nonsense, and then I said, rewrite this prompt, right, to get a clear and concise answer. Bullet point with the problems with mismanaging leads, not following up every inquiry immediately, include consequences, the opportunity cost of HVAC business that gets 100 inquiries a week, only to convert 20% of them into estimates, convert 20% of those estimates into sales, average sale $500 to $20,000. Right? So all I did was I took, here's the business, the average sale is $500 on inquiry, 15% of all sales turns into a $20,000 inquiry. It was just a nonsense prompt, right? It was like I brain dumped my ideas. And then what I did was rewrite what I put in, bullet point this, right? Give me a story, right? And so then What it did was, or the output was pretty easy. The problems with mismanaging leads and not following up immediately for an HVAC business is low conversion rates, poor estimates, lead revenue opportunity, revenue opportunity, customer perception issues, increased marketing costs, reduced team productivity, opportunity costs, right? So for example, 80% of estimates, 16 out of 20 are not converted. The average sales of $5,000, that's a weekly loss of $80,000 in potential revenue. So I didn't ask it to give me an opportunity cost. It created this for me based on me asking it to make a concise prompt. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Here's what I'm trying to do, but I want you to create me a proper prompt, and here's what I want you to do, right? And it's like key takeaways: improving lead management and immediate follow-up can dramatically increase conversion rates, reduce wasted marketing efforts, capture a large share of potential revenue for HVAC businesses. Even slight improvements in follow-up and conversion rates could result in tens of thousands of dollars in additional weekly revenue, right? Then I went, rewrite this prompt and make it better, right? Make it better. I did it again, right? And then it came and gave me more precise information, right? What are the consequences of poor lead management, delayed follow-ups for a HVAC business? And it went through what the consequences were, right? Create a presentation of the following, right? Who am I? Our company. Who am I, right? Being marketing, strategic planning, I gave a bullet points of who we are, right? So it created a introduction to me, right? Here's an introduction, what we do, what our expertise is, and why you should listen to us, right? What does Vision Automated do? Why did I choose Klondike Air? So why did I choose the company that I wanted to work with, them, for this report, right? My closing statement, why partner with us, right? Okay. And then I said, rewrite this prompt and get a better, I kept on asking, get a better outcome, right? You're a guru copywriter like Dan Kennedy and John Carlton. Write an introductory letter reaching out to Andrew Beaker, the owner of Klondike Air, the reasons you're reaching out to him, that you put together a comprehensive report that's going to double the number of inquiries to sale conversion, add 2.4 million worth of revenue to Klondike Air in 2025. You put together a comprehensive report and a strategy to achieve this outcome. You're inviting Andrew to give his opinions and feedback on the report and that you have created, right? Include in the report that you provide an assessment of the trends of 2025-2030 for air conditioning in Orange County. Include the consequences of mismanaging leads, right? Add this to the report plan, that I've created to more than double the number of sales and opportunities for Klondike Air, right? So all I did was, here's what I did, give me a letter that I could reach out to Andrew with, right? And then this is what it gave me, right? Here's the improved prompt, right? And then I copied and pasted the prompt, right? So this is the prompt that came out from my question of give me a prompt. Then I copy and paste the prompt. So here's it is. Subject line, 2.4 million revenue opportunity for Klondike Air in 2025. Your review requested. That's not a bad subject line for an email, right? Andrew, your reputation for building Klondike Air into an Orange County's most trusted HVAC companies over the past 20 years caught my attention. But what really intrigued me was the untapped gold mine sitting in your current lead flow. I've just completed a comprehensive analysis of the HVAC market in Orange County with specific focus on Klondike Air's position and the growth potential. What I discovered might surprise you, possibly even concern you. Here's what's at stake. Based on your current inquiry to sale conversion rates, you're leaving approximately 2.4 million in revenue on the table for 2025. And that's no typo. I've documented exactly how and where this revenue is slipping through the cracks, and more importantly, how to capture it. I've packaged these findings in a detailed report that includes a revealing forecast for HVAC industry for 2025-2030 in Orange County, a breakthrough analysis of showing exactly how minor adjustments to your lead management system could double your sales conversion rates, a practical step-by-step implementation plan specifically for Klondike Air to capture additional 2.4 million revenue. Andrew, I'm sharing this report. I'm not sharing this report widely. In fact, you're the only HVAC business owner in Orange County who will see it. I value your professional opinion on my findings, especially given your 2 decades of experience in this market. Would you be open to reviewing this report? I'm confident you're going to find at least 3 immediately actionable insights that could significantly impact your bottom line quarter, right? If you're interested, simply say yes to this letter and I'll send you the complete report right away, no strings attached. I generally want your feedback on the findings, right? P.S. The market shifts I've identified for 2025-2030 represent a pivotal moment for HVAC business in Orange County. The companies that adapt first will be the have unprecedented advantage. I believe Klondike Air is perfectly positioned to capitalize on these changes, and I welcome the opportunity to show you why. Now, that's not a bad email, right? Now, I didn't write that. All I asked it is create a really good prompt to write me this email, right? And then it created the prompt, and then I copy and paste that prompt, and I put it in the email, right? Then I said, rewrite this email in a friendly tone and make it shorter and in an inviting response, right? Quick question about boosting Klondike Air's sales in 2025. Hi, Andrew. I hope this finds you well. I would probably kill that sentence, but I'd say, look, your outstanding work at Klondike Air over the past 20 years hasn't gone unnoticed. I've just finished putting together an interesting report that I think you'll want to see. It shows Klondike Air could potentially add 2.4 million in additional revenue next year through some simple tweak for your lead conversion process. The report includes Orange County Hvac market trends, a practical plan to double your sales opportunities, specific strategies designed for Klondike Air. Here's the thing. I really value your expert opinion on this. Would you be open to a quick look? I'm not sharing this with other HVAC companies in Orange County. There's no obligation. I generally want your thoughts on it. Just hit reply yes if you want me to send it over. Best regards. I promise it'll be worth 10 minutes of your time. Some of these findings might surprise you, right? So all I said was rewrite this email in a friendly tone and make it shorter, right? So I have the long version, right? The longer version, and then I've got the short punchy version, okay? The funny thing was the short punchy version was what got him to call me. The longer version didn't get him to call me. The short punchy version got him to call me, right? So does everybody understand how I got here? We're good? Just type 1 in the chat if you understand how I got here. Cool. All right. So I can do this for anybody. I can go to place, say, give me the top 5 companies in what location? Your city. Give me the top 10 companies. And the reason I chose why I said companies that are currently advertising, because if a company is currently advertising, it means that they're focused on growth. They're spending money or investing money to acquire customers. Now, I didn't say give me the smallest companies. I said gave me the best. Give me the top 10 companies right now in that market that are currently visible and advertising online for leads. So the only people I'm going to reach out to are people that are running ads, acquiring customers, right? I don't want to reach out to companies that are not growing and not acquiring customers. There's no point in working with companies that aren't growth-minded. So a growth-minded company understands that it's investing in marketing. That's why it's a really good indicator that they spend money, right? Now, I went and did a little bit of homework on Klondike Air. I found out how much money they spend on leads. I found out they're spending $15,000 a month on ads on Google, right? They spend 15 grand. They get a lot of leads. They get a lot of leads, right? So if you're spending 15 grand a month on ads, you're spending real cash. If they spend 15 grand every month, that's $180,000 just on Google ads. They also spend another $8,000 on Facebook ads. They spend another 8 grand a month on Facebook ads, right? So that's $23,000 a month in advertising. So this is a very proactive business, right? They understand the true value of acquiring customers. They're spending a ton of money, right? Okay, so now I'm just going to move on to the report, right? So this is, if you can just give me a thumbs up, you can see Andrew Beaker, Best Heating Air Conditioning Company, the presentation, right? So all that search stuff from Perplexity, right, is what I transferred over into Gamma and created this presentation, right? So notice the first slide. Andrew Beaker, Best Heating and Air Company in Orange County, adding 30% in revenue in the first 6 months of 2025, right? Okay. So why did I choose Klondike? I chose Klondike because they're a family business. It's a business that's been running for 20 years. They have about 40 employees in the company. They've got about 4 or 5 vans on the road, meaning on average, they're doing about 20 to 40 jobs a week, right? Meaning that this is a company that's doing tens of millions of dollars in revenue, right? Right. But the thing that got me about Andrew is it's a family business. He started this 20 years ago and his son is now working in the business with him. And eventually there's going to be a legacy business. So Andrew understands, he's learnt over 20 years to build a successful aircon business in Orange County. You know, you need good people. You need to be investing in your growth. You wouldn't be in business for 20 years, right? Recognized as a top provider. By the way, they've got like 450 reviews online. You know, people like what they do. They've got good customer service. So all the boxes are being ticked that this is a cool company. This is a really good business, right? Now, I'm not in the HVAC business. I'm not in the HVAC business. Okay, we don't do that's not the market that I'm in a niche. I'm in SaaS. I just chose this randomly to demonstrate the point. It doesn't matter what business you're in. I closed this deal with this presentation that I'm about to walk you through. Right? I closed this deal. Okay, so it doesn't matter what niche. You can do this for any niche. The reason I'm showing you this is because I did it in a niche that I have no experience in. I just don't work in this niche. Right? And so you can create this with anybody, right? And literally, like I've shown you, you can create it in minutes, right? So I'm gonna turn this into a slideshow. Hopefully this is gonna work. All right, so this is the presentation that I put together, right? HVAC trends in Orange County for 2025 and beyond, right? Smart HVAC, the future of climate control, smart home integration, energy efficiency, right? Energy efficient sustainability. This is what's going on. Title 24 compliance, geothermal solutions, harnessing solar power, advanced indoor air quality, right? There's the new filtration methods that they do, predictive maintenance, remote monitoring, customer education. So these are all the new things that are coming in the marketplace, right? Okay. Eco-friendly refrigerants and designs, transforming refrigerants, heat pump technology, retrofit services, right? These are the things that are trending, that are happening. Now, Andrew was familiar with some of these things, not all the things, but some of the things that, oh yeah, I get it. This is what we're working on, right? So he was up to speed with what was going in the market. Customer-centric service model, flexible scheduling, digital presence, value-driven services, digital marketing and online engagement, local SEO, educational content, reviews and UGC, right? So this is all the stuff that's happening in the marketing side. The future is bright, staying ahead of the curve, embrace innovation, prioritize IAQ, and build relationships, right? These are the three areas that you want to be growing your business in. And it's really funny, but you know, it's trying to take a photo of Long Beach where Orange County is, right? So conclusion, thrive in a competitive market, right? Hidden costs of poor lead management. Okay, now we're talking about the problem that's going on, all right? Conversion rate crisis, inquiry to estimate. Of 100 weekly inquiries, only 20 are converted into estimates, representing 20% conversion rate. That means 80% of potential customers are lost at this stage. Estimate to sale, only 20%. 4 sales of the 20 estimates are converted into an actual sale, highlighting a low conversion rate of 20% and a loss of 96% of all inquiries. So you're closing 4 deals out of 100 inquiries. This is a real pain in the ass, right? Revenue loss and missed opportunity, right? If your current revenue averaging 4 sales per week generates $20,000 in revenue, the potential loss is $480,000. That's the opportunity cost that incurred if they don't follow up these leads effectively, right? So opportunity cost, letting competitors win. Missed investments. Lost revenue from unconverted leads could be invested in marketing, hiring, and scaling the business. Competitor advantage. Competitors who follow up faster are more effectively capture these missed opportunities, gaining competitive edge. So you don't want the next person they call to be the one that closes the deal. You want to close the deal, right? So increased marketing costs, waste investment. High acquisition costs, cost money, right? $23,000 a month in ad spend. It costs cash to get these leads, right? Poor lead management increases cost of acquisition, meaning that divide $23,000 by 4, right? It's costing you $5,000 or $6,000 per sale, but you only make $5,000, so you're making a loss, right? Get how this works? Damage reputation. Well, if you don't pick up the phone and you don't get back to people, they're never going to call you again, ever. They're going to go to the next person that helps out, right? Reduced client value, missed long-term opportunities, loss of repeat business. Failing to convert leads means fewer customers who provide repeat business or referrals. Limited relationship, missed opportunities to build long-term relationships with clients to cultivate loyalty, right? Inefficient resource allocation and time effort wasted. Time and effort spent generating leads and wasted if not properly managed as a follow-up. Sales team misallocation. Sales teams may focus on cold leads instead of nurturing warm prospects, resulting in wasted effort and limited success, right? Limited business growth, missed opportunities for scaling, revenue stagnation, right? Investment barriers, right? If you're not doing this right, this will cost you money. Unlocking growth, improving lead management, ensuring follow-ups could significantly increase conversions, reducing waste and marketing spend, right? Doubling your appointments for Klondike Air. This is where it gets personal, right? With a missed call text back system, okay? Current challenge and objective, delayed follow-ups, 450 inquiries per month, face a 24 to 48-hour response delay, resulting in lost conversion opportunities, right? Low conversion rate. Current appointment conversion rate is only about 10%, 50 out of 500 inquiries. Ambitious goal, increasing appointment rate from 10% to 24% using a new system. Notice, like, I'm not saying we're going to go and get 450 appointments. I'm just saying, what if we could just double it? What if we go 50 appointments to 120 appointments, right? So a 24% increase in the number of appointments booked, not I'm going to book everything, right? So what's going to happen, right? We're going to choose a missed call. Phase one, we set up a system. We create a customized template. We integrate the CRM. We provide staff with training saying this is very important to follow up, right? Phase two, operational change. We're going to maximize conversion. Immediate follow-up protocol within 3 minutes of a yes response, 15 minutes follow-up for ensuring dedicated staff availability, real-time booking link, segment and prioritize the leads, right? This is what's going to happen in scheduling the appointments, okay? Phase three, marketing communication enhanced. We're going to promote faster response times, right, on our social media. So, hey, we're going to be on to you. If you come to us, we're going to be there. We're going to have follow-up reminders going to them. We're going to optimize. We're going to monitor. We're going to track the responses and appointment bookings, meaning we're going to measure what we manage, right? Okay. Addressing the 450 lost opportunities. Immediate engagement. Eliminate 24, 40-hour delay. High conversion potential. Improve lead nurturing, right? This is what we're going to do. Okay. So current revenue metrics. 40 appointments, 40 times $500 to is $20,000. High value installations, 10 high value installations. They make 150 grand out of high value installations. Currently, they're doing 170K per month in revenue if this was their numbers, right? And by the way, how did I know these numbers? I went to Perplexity and said, give me the benchmarks of a top performing HVAC company that manages 500 leads. Give me the benchmarks for a top performing company that manages 1,000 leads. And then this is what it came up with roughly, right? By the way, when I spoke to Andrew, he said, how did you know? Right? How did you know? Right? Because all we did was follow. And I said, this is the industry benchmark, right? I didn't look into your thing, right? So projected revenue to double the appointments. We're going to go from 50 appointments to 120 appointments, 24% increase in conversion rate from 500 inquiries. $48,000 in servicing revenue, right? 96 service appointments, $500. Installation, we're going to get 24 installations, about $15,000 per installation, it's $360. Total monthly revenue, right? Total monthly revenue, $408K, right? Annual revenue growth, that's $2.856 million. Monthly revenue, 238,000 increase in revenue. New total for the month, 408 grand. Current monthly revenue, 170 grand, right? Key performance indicators, response time less than 3 minutes. Appointment conversion rate target is 24%, not 20%. We're going to increase our conversion rate 24%, right? Follow-up completion rate, 100% within 15 minutes or engaged leads, right? Staff accountability, dedicated team. We're going to monitor this. A/B split testing. We're going to review the way that we manage. We do daily reviews, right? Monthly sales review, ROI calculation, growth trends analysis. This is what we're going to do, right? Customer feedback integration. We're going to collect feedback. We're going to analyze responses. We're going to implement change. All of this is happening through automation. We can just feedback the report, right? So projected outcomes, 2.4x growth, 120 monthly appointments, 2.9 million in annual revenue increases, projected additional revenue per year, right? Conclusion, transforming Klondike Air business. Vision automated, growing your business on 1 lead at a time, right? Meet me, who I am. Transforming lead management, we do AI automation, mainly with 7 and 8 figure companies. We maximize the efficiencies. Why Klondike Air is a perfect fit. Legacy, 20 years in business, proven expertise. Vision, dedicated growth to long-term aspirations. Partnership, shared vision for success and growth. Why should you partner with us, right? Partner with us, proven expertise, cutting-edge solutions, shared values. Let's work together at Klondike Air, right? So that is the information that was literally copy and pasted from the searches in AI into Gamma and it produced that presentation, right? So our fee for the installation and the management and all of that, I said a $20,000 deposit to set up the system, right? And then it was $5,000 a month, right? Or they could pay 75 grand up front if they chose to do so, right? They paid the 20 grand after one conversation, right? He sat there, he looked at this, he said, you know, I would be a fool if I didn't implement this strategy, right? And remember, I was only talking about one thing. I was only talking about improving appointment rate. I wasn't talking about show-up rates. I wasn't talking about improving conversion to sale, right? I wasn't talking about any of the other cool stuff that we're going to do when we start monitoring what's going on, right? The numbers will be even bigger. But I said, if your worst case scenario was a quarter of this growth, right? What if instead of 2.9 million, what if we only did 700,000, right? We picked up an extra 50, 60 grand a month, right, on this deal. Would it be worth implementing this strategy? His response was, hell yeah, absolutely, right? When I quoted him the 20 grand upfront deposit and the 5 grand a month, he didn't question it. He said, it makes sense, right? His worst case scenario is he picks up 700 grand. Over the next 3 years, he's going to pick up $2.4 million in revenue. That's his worst case scenario, right? 2.4 million revenue. Now, if I put the scenario that this is going to cost you 80 grand or 60 grand a year plus a $20,000 deposit for you to pick up 2.4 million in revenue and have this systemized and automated and tracked, what do you think we should do with the plan? This is why this was a no-brainer close, right? So I'm going to stop right there. And I'm happy to answer your questions. Takeaways and questions.
Hi, John. My question was, did you propose those solutions for the presentation, or did I noticed you were using u.com? So yeah. Have you loaded up what you do as a company and all that? So
no, I didn't do any of that. No, I just what I did was I did a bullet point of I chose a strategy. I said, they're buying a whole bunch of leads. I know they're not managing leads because I called the company and they didn't get back to me. I actually called Klondike Air and I rang them and they didn't follow. Like I'm saying, hey, I'm interested in getting a quote on air conditioning, and they didn't follow me up, right? And I actually recorded that phone call and I played that phone call back to Andrew, right? I said, dude, I called you randomly. I called you off Google search and we're here 5 days later and nobody's called me back. Right? So how many other phone inquiries are you getting that you're just not getting back to, right? And so very quickly, I just chose speed to lead because to me, it made sense. They're not calling me back, but if they had a speed to lead system following me through, they would have me in that sales process, right? And that's why I chose it. By the way, I don't do speed to lead for HVAC companies, right? And by the way, I gave this client to one of the people I coach. So I handed off a $60,000 a year, 80 grand client to somebody else, right? Because I did not want to deliver this solution for Klondike. I sold it and then I handed it on to somebody else, right? If it was a SaaS company, we would have handled it ourselves, right? But aircon's not our market. And I chose Orange County because Orange County is a fairly, it's a fairly well-to-do kind of county in California. There's a lot of competition. It's a very big area. I think there's more than 2 or 3 million people in that county. It's quite a large area, meaning that there would be lots of larger businesses in that location that would be very competitive. And then I literally just asked it, only give me companies that are spending money on ads and that they have a good social media presence. So then what it did was it only gave me companies that fit that criteria. And I went through that list that I just showed you. I went through the list. The reason why I just chose Klondike is when I hopped on their website and I went to the About Us page, it just talked about the fact that they were a family business, that they're established, they were long-term view, that the fact that that other members of the family are in this business. So to me, it's like it was almost, I don't know if anybody remembers the Waltons, the TV show, The Waltons. To me, it was like there was this wholesome family that have built this business locally, and they're doing a great job. Like they're building something that's got a legacy. I like to work with companies that have that growth mindedness, and that's the only reason I would have chosen. There was 5 other companies I could have gone after, but I just chose that business because it kind of just spoke to me. And so I just want to say this so that you understand, because that business spoke to me, I was able to approach that business as if I cared, right? My mindset and my demeanor about how I approached them was, I chose you because I like the idea of you. I actually care about your idea. I'm like you. I have the same ideas, the same goals, shared values, right?
Yeah,
so there's a mindset. So this is not me, I want to go and make some money. This is me like, I know what I want to do, want to sell. I know that I can implement it, right? I know that it can make a difference. I literally discovered how it can make a difference by asking some random questions. And at the end of the day, would you do this? Now, I didn't ask Andrew for referrals because I wasn't delivering this service to Aircon, but I could have. Andrew, by the way, this now happened 2 months ago. They're actually booking about 180 appointments. They're above the rate that I said that they would book. They're getting 180 actual qualified appointments over and above the 500 leads. The 500 leads they're filtering through, like the actual missed call text back that my client has put in place is filtering the calls, but they're averaging about 180 appointments, not 120 appointments.
Awesome.
And 60 more appointments. And their sales have shot through the roof.
I noticed there was only one mention of AI. I mean, this call text back it's good, but it's certainly not as good as hooking up the AI to it and doing all that.
I didn't want to talk too much about it. I didn't want to talk too much about AI, and the reason why is because a lot of people aren't comfortable with it. A lot of people they don't know what they don't know, and they're not having that level of comfort. There is an interest, like. It was really funny. Andrew says, I know that we have to get into AI. Like, that was his words to me. I know we have to get into AI, right? And I said, well, yeah, but, when you say, you get into it, like, when's that going to happen, right? How do you think that's going to happen? Well, I don't know, but I'm constantly being made aware of it, okay? So, and what will generally happen with somebody like Andrew is he'll see somebody else doing something, and he'll start to go, oh, maybe we should start doing it. Or he'll go to a conference or an event and they'll be talking about it and they go, I wonder if I can do this stuff for us, right? So this is the sort of thing. That's why I don't go into too much detail at this level. We had a good discussion about it in our conversation when we talked about it. But in the presentation, I didn't want to go deep. And you'll notice that the presentation was pretty basic. Like it really, for me, it's like, here's where you're at. It makes sense. He's saying, John, those 5 mistakes, I know we're making them right now. This is what and now you sharing this with me, it just makes me more angry. It makes me more frustrated, right? The fact that you called and nobody got back to you and it's still 5 days later, that pisses me off, right? And I said, dude, there's one finger pointing forward, there's 3 fingers pointing back, right? This is just a training thing and a leadership thing. Right? Don't go, your sales guys are probably working their asses off. They're following up leads, they're doing the thing. You're making money, right? You are making money out of these ads, right? You're picking up 180, 200 grand worth of work. You're making cash. So you're oblivious to what you're missing out on, right? So you can't just go, my sales guys are screwing up. Well, they could be, but not necessarily, right? It's like, now that you've got your attention on this, if we can make an adjustment, which we can, and by the way, one of the first things he did was hire a coordinator to manage the filtered leads. And this is why their appointment rate or the quality of the appointment rate's gone through the roof, right? This is why their conversions have gone up, because now guess what they're focusing on? They're focusing on converting sales because they can see the metrics, right? In their lead connector, they can see what's closing, what's not closing, right, in their deals. So this is like a first step for this company. This is like a first step. All the other stuff is coming, like customer service bots, reactivation campaigns. All that stuff is going to be handled by the agency that I gave this deal to. Andrew's probably going to end up spending 100 grand, maybe 200 grand a year with the agency, this one client, right? once this is done. But now Andrew is already talking about acquiring another location, not building a new location, actually going and buying another location so that they can scale even faster. That's the conversation he's having with the agency that I gave it to, right? So I guess I'm very mindful. You can put in, take out, whatever you want, right? There's no rules in what you're doing. But this was very directed towards this business, right? I could have taken Klondike Air out and I could have put Novita. I could put their business in there. I could have put them there in there. And then I would have gone, okay, you're an average business in this range. Well, the numbers might not change, right? I could have rung them and maybe they did handle the inquiry more effectively, but in this case they didn't, right? So it doesn't matter, like the basis of the report is pretty much created. 85% of the information is there. All I've got to do is, who am I going to give this to? Who am I going to draw into this process? But this is super valuable to them, right? This is a really valuable asset that you're creating. And the fact that you're using, AI tools easily to do that, right? That's where the deal is. Yeah. So yeah, any other questions? Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. Do I suggest, Karen? No, I don't suggest people missing return calls. That's not the deal here. All I did was just pick one aspect of it, right? It could have been lead acquisition. It could have been lead management. It could have been, setting up integrations for a CRM so they can actually get better reporting. It could be anything. It could be strategy development, right? They don't look like a great strategy, so we can develop a strategy, right? That's what this is about. Yeah. So you don't need to overthink this. Like just the basics of this. Right at the beginning, I said, you could mess this up, right? This is not the best presentation I could have done. I did it this way, right? I did it this way so that I could show how we can get it done quickly. Like, let's get it out. I don't want to think about it. If I thought about it, like looking at this presentation right now, there's probably about a dozen changes I would have made to this presentation that would make it better. Right? But I didn't need to do that. It closed an $80,000 deal. It worked in its shittiness, right? In its imperfection, right? It had enough value for that person to go, I'm paying attention. That's the deal, right?
Hey, John, can you hear me?
Yes, SK.
Okay. John, I know in yesterday's session you mentioned that the LLMs sometimes they hallucinate the information.
Mm-hmm.
I missed today's first 30 minutes. I'm not sure if this was covered or not, but when I'm generating this report for another company, another industry, how do I make sure that it doesn't give data back that is hallucinated or less than?
The reason I use Perplexity is Perplexity gives you a reference. When you're looking at trends, the reference points for trends are Gartner, Forrester, IBIS, all the current report trending, the companies that do the report trending. So the articles of where the information is coming from are given to you, so you can actually hit the link and see where the information came from. So the information that I've got when I did this in Perplexity, the reports came from legitimate reporting companies that do the data assessment and analysis in the industry. So I know that the information is relatively accurate, right? So the reason I'm using Perplexity, it's actually searching with that protocol, right? If I was using ChatGPT, I might not be getting the right answer. How would I adapt this for more personal market, like selling? Oh, dude, book a call with me, Ivan. I'll show you how to pick up freaking 50 clients in the next 2 weeks. Doing this. Like, this is so easy to pick up clients, right? So I've got 3 minutes here. I hope you've picked up some cool ideas because I've literally laid it out for you. I'm going to ask you one question here. What I want to do is I'm just going to share my screen here. Sorry. All right. I knew that I was going to get a lot of questions, right? So what I want to do is I want to do something a little bit different. What I want to do is I want to do a kind of a clarity, certainty, confidence, action plan with all of you here, right? So the idea is to create the fastest process to your next paying client is the goal. the target client and the intelligence and the exact approach for you personally. Fast action step-by-step plan for execution doc. I will create a doc for you to get into your market and into your client as quickly as possible, right? So the fee for this, right, $9.97. But for the people who've shown up on this call, you get it for free. If you scan this QR code, I've opened up my calendar for the next 3 to 5 working days. I've literally cleared it. So if you want to speed the process up, have me walk you through to personalize this process for you, for your market. Scan the code or go to corejohnlogo.com and book in the plan, the business builder plan. Take the free plan, right? So if you can scan this, book a time. I've opened up my calendar for the next 3 or 4 days just to do this with you, right? Just to do this with you. So all you're going to have to do is answer a few questions, book a time. First in, best dressed. Once the time is done, it's done. I'm not letting anybody else take advantage of this. I don't have a lot of time to give. But understand that I'm literally giving you the opportunity to go through this with me so that you can go and pick up a client worth $10, $20, $100, $200,000, right? You're getting this for free. So you would be stupid not to take advantage of this. You'd be an absolute moron to not do this, right? So I'm telling you now, scan this code, if you need to go to corejohnlogo.com, take the business builder plan link, answer the questions. There's a lot of multi choice questions. What I will do, and our time is going to be limited to about 45 minutes. What I'm going to do in that 45 minutes, because I'm going to look at your responses, I'm going to very quickly give you an actionable structure to get into this thing. Now, there are people in here who already work with me. Please do not book a call with me if you're currently my coaching client. Don't book a call. You don't need to. You've got access to my freaking calendar, right? So don't book a call because you're taking space from people who don't have access to me. So please don't book a call if you're working with me. But if you're not, this is free, right? This is incredibly valuable. This is incredibly targeted to you, right? This is for you personally. So I'm going to literally unravel it for you, walk you through the process, right? And you're literally going to take it and freaking execute and go and print cash, right? You will go and print cash. If you can't print cash, I would have to go and hit my head up against a brick wall because I cannot believe, because right now I know this works, people. I know this works. Right? It's working right now for a whole bunch of people I'm working. People are making, last month, more than $300,000 worth of sales were made off this, right? 300 grand cash was banked off this idea, right? So I know this works. I know how this works. I know it can work, right? The only person that's not going to make it work is you, right? So if you're thinking about making a time with me, don't make a time with me. You need to think about this. But make a time. My calendar is open. I did this on purpose. I've literally blocked out my calendar from other things, right? So I want to allow as many of you as possible to book that time into my calendar. So scan the QR code, go to corejohnlogo.com, right? And book in for this session. I want to thank you for hanging with me. I appreciate that. Keep an eye out. I'm actually going to do something really cool early next week. So keep an eye out for something coming up. But with that, if you go back to your notes and go and apply this now without even thinking about it, because I'll guarantee you will open the door to generating clients. It is such a simple thing to do, and it works. It works like gangbusters. Yeah. So if you watch yesterday's training, I showed you how to deliver and how to scale it. If you watch this, right, this gets you clients faster. So with that, I want to thank you for hanging